The moment I turned off the cracked asphalt road and saw the iron gates of Lakewood Manor, I knew I'd found something special, something forgotten, something that once meant everything to someone. The gates were rusted, half sunk in the overgrown weeds, and the sign barely hanging red, "Private property, keep out." But I wasn't there to turn away. I was there to reclaim it. The place was an abandoned lake mansion, sitting on the edge of Crystal Lake, 3 stories tall, wrapped in ivy, and heavy with the kind of silence that only forgotten places carry. I had bought it at auction for pennies. Everyone had warned me, "That's in HOA territory. They'll make your life hell." But here's the twist, the mansion wasn't part of the HOA anymore. It had been excluded after a boundary dispute years back. I double-checked with the county before signing the papers. No dues, no rules, just peace, freedom, and potential. At least, that's what I thought. When I first stepped through the rotting front doors, the smell of dust and decay hit me like a memory. The grand chandelier hung low and broken. A family portrait lay on the ground, cracked down the middle. There was beauty under the ruin, and I was determined to bring it back to life. For weeks, I worked alone. I replaced floorboards, stripped wallpaper, and planned the grand reveal, a lakeside retreat that would make the whole neighborhood jealous. Every night, I'd sit on the crumbling dock, watching the sunset melt over the still water, whispering to myself, "This will all be mine again." Then one morning, I saw them. 3 women, all in pastel cardigans and oversized sunglasses, standing on the edge of my property, arms crossed like soldiers on parade. The one in the middle, blonde bob, pearls, the unmistakable scent of care and authority, stepped forward. "You can't be here," she said, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. "This property is under Lakeview Homeowners Association jurisdiction. You're trespassing." I laughed. "Actually, I'm not. I own it, bought it at auction, got the title right here." She didn't even glance at the papers. "That's impossible. This land was part of our neighborhood before you were even born. And if you don't comply with HOA standards, we'll fine you, or have the county do it for us." I smiled tightly. "Check your maps, lady. This house was removed from your HOA in 1999 after a legal dispute. You have no power here." Her lips tightened. "We'll see about that," and she walked away, heels clicking like a gavel of judgment. At first, I shrugged it off. Just another nosy neighbor trying to flex her power. But over the next few weeks, strange things started happening. My renovation permits, approved just days before, suddenly went missing. The dumpster I rented disappeared overnight. A county inspector showed up claiming to have anonymous complaints about asbestos and structural instability. Everywhere I turned, the HOA's fingerprints were there. I decided to record everything, every conversation, every incident. I even installed security cameras around the property. Then came the day I'll never forget. It was early morning, fog still hung over the lake like a ghostly curtain. I was driving back to the property after picking up supplies, humming along to the radio, when I saw a column of smoke rising above the trees. My heart sank. I floored the gas. As I rounded the last bend, I froze. They were demolishing my house. A massive yellow excavator stood in the driveway, its steel claw sinking into the roof of Lakewood Manor like a predator tearing into its prey. Wood splintered, glass shattered, dust and debris filled the air. Men in hard hats were shouting orders, while a group of HOA members, including her, stood on the lawn, sipping coffee and watching like it was some neighborhood event. "What are you doing?" I screamed, slamming my truck door. A worker turned, startled, but Karen didn't flinch. She just smiled. "Oh, good, you're here," she said. "We're taking care of this safety hazard. It's condemned." "You're welcome." I ran toward the excavator, waving my arms. "This is private property. You can't do this." A man stepped forward, a contractor, judging by his vest. "We have authorization from the Lakeview HOA," he said flatly. "They have no authority here." I shouted, "This isn't their jurisdiction. Stop the machine right now." But it was too late. The excavator's claw came down again, tearing through the second-story balcony. I grabbed my phone, started recording, shouting every legal term I could remember. "This is illegal destruction of private property. You're all going to jail." Karen turned to me with that same smug smile. "Good luck proving it. We've been working with the county for years to reclaim this property. It's an eyesore. The lake deserves better." I was shaking, with rage, disbelief, heartbreak. The mansion I'd poured my time and savings into was being reduced to rubble before my eyes. The police showed up an hour later. Not to arrest them, but to calm me down. The officer, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, pulled me aside. Listen, I get it. But they have a demolition order signed by a county clerk. Signed by who? I demanded. He showed me the paper. My name wasn't even on it. The listed owner, Lakeview Homeowners Association. I couldn't breathe. Somehow, they'd forged ownership through an outdated land registry entry, a clerical loophole they'd been planning to exploit. It took months of calls, lawyers, and sleepless nights, but I finally uncovered the truth. Years ago, the HOA had tried, and failed, to annex my property. They'd lost in court, but the records were never properly updated in the county's digital system. When I bought the place, the old data still said, Lakeview HOA territory. They'd used that to justify the demolition. In the county, they just assumed it was correct. I wanted to scream, to burn their little clubhouse to the ground, but instead, I planned something smarter. I had all the footage. The demolition, their laughter, Karen's smug face saying, the lake deserves better. I hired a lawyer, filed a lawsuit for malicious property destruction, and took it to every local news outlet that would listen. It blew up overnight. Headlines read, HOA illegally demolishes private home, homeowner fights back. The footage went viral. The HOA's president resigned. The county launched an investigation. And Karen, she vanished from the neighborhood Facebook page overnight. But I wasn't done. Months later, I bought a new parcel of land, right next to the HOA's prized lakeside park. It was small, but perfectly placed. I applied for all the proper permits. Then I built a massive billboard that faced their clubhouse. It read, "Greater than, this is what happens when you think you own everything." With before and after photos of my destroyed mansion. Tourists stopped to take pictures. Locals honked in support. The HOA tried to get the sign removed, but the county sided with me, freedom of speech, public land visibility. Eventually, their property values started dropping. The HOA's funds dried up from legal fees and PR damage. And one by one, the pastel cardigan patrol disappeared. But me, I rebuilt. Not the old mansion, that was gone. Instead, I built a smaller home, modern and sleek, overlooking the same lake. Every night, I sit on my new porch, watching the sunset reflect across the water, and I whisper to the ruins beneath the surface. They tried to erase you. But now, you're legend. Sometimes, when the fog rolls across the lake just right, I swear I can still see the silhouette of the old manor, proud, defiant, standing in the mist like a ghost that refuses to be forgotten. And I smile, because they may have demolished the house, but they'll never demolish what I built next.